Hello everyone, my name is Kyla from Speckles and Wool, and today I want to get started crocheting some spring tops. So let's get started. Okay, so a big goal for me this year is using up some yarn from my stash. I have a horrible tendency, well, a couple horrible tendencies, to one, purchase yarn without a project allocated to it, assigned to it. And so this means that I end up with yarn that I'm not quite sure what to work with. And two, I buy really pretty yarn that I don't necessarily want to commit to a pattern. So I end up hoarding it, which is lovely for me. I have just baskets filled with some beautiful yarn that I get to stare at, but I would love for this yarn to not get like stale and dusty and actually have a life getting worn as a garment. So I have selected 3 hand-dyed yarns that I can use for some spring tops for this year. Let me go ahead and grab those and I can introduce you. The first yarn I will be using is this Euphoria Knits DK weight yarn in the colorway Lost. Now she is hand dyed. You can tell that she's just an absolutely stunning beauty. Sorry, I don't know why I'm holding it this way, but she's an absolutely stunning colorway. The wool has absorbed the dyes kind of differently, so you have these lovely kind of lighter sections contrasted by some darker greens. Still a beautiful tonal, and I want to make her into the MJ's Off the Hook Designs V-Stitch Summer Cardigan. This is a very airy cardigan, tie front, and I'm really excited to make it because I've never made a raglan style cardigan before or sweater. That'll be a first for me in terms of design. So I'm really excited to try something new with this. I do have 4 skeins of this at 246 yards each. So I'm going to try to make a long sleeved cardigan. I will use up every bit of this yarn that I can, and if I get to 3/4 sleeves, I'm fine with that too. I just think she will be absolutely stunning. Now, I said in the intro I wanted to start some tops, and that's kind of a lie because I've already started this one. I'm about 5 rows in and it's working up lovely so far. It took me not long at all to get 5 rows in. I anticipate that as I go further, each row will take longer since you're increasing it in a raglan style, but I think it'll look stunning. So again, this is Euphoria Knits in the colorway Lost. I pick this yarn up at my local yarn store. I typically get some of this brand every time I go. Now, admittedly, that is less than I was doing last year because I'm trying to limit my yarn consumption and be very intentional about using up what I have. But Euphoria Knits gets me every time. I mean, how could it not? Stunning. The second yarn that I pulled out of my stash is, again, Euphoria Knits. You can totally see a trend here. I just love her stuff. I've used her yarn previously in my acacia vest last year, and it wears so well. It feels luxurious on the skin. The colorways are creative and brilliant. I love it. So I have this Euphoria Knits. It is her fingering weight yarn in the colorway Persephone. I mean, oh my gosh. It makes sense why it's named Persephone. You have the beautiful greens and all of the speckles with like the pink and the purples. I admittedly have already started a project with this as well. I only have 3 balls of this and it is 470, no, 437 yards per fingering weight skein. So I only have 3 of these. So I'm just trying something out. This is not a pattern at all. This is straight from my brain. I've been inspired by these like cropped, boxy, kind of lacy, sleeveless cardigan looking things. And I've had an idea in mind for this. I've been looking at this yarn and I really want to do the rosebud trellis pattern that I previously used in a scarf in another one of my videos. I just think this would look beautiful in a rosebud trellis. Like it looks like roses and it has the green. Come on. So I am creating my own little cardigan based off some pictures I've seen online using this. This is going to take me a hot second. 2.75 millimeter hook. I'm no stranger to crocheting on a small gauge, but this is going to be a challenge. I'm glad it's lacy because it means it will stretch out a little bit and I won't have to crochet as many rows. So I'm very excited to be using this. The third and final yarn I will be using is this Poppy and Spruce Fibers. She is a hand dyer located in Denver, and I am very excited for this. This is her fingering weight yarn in the colorway Just a Fungi, and I honestly have been sitting on this since mid last year because when I bought it, I envisioned that I was going to be an advanced knitter and I would be making this into like a t-shirt, a knitted t-shirt, which is funny because I'm not an advanced knitter. I don't really have the desire to be an advanced knitter right now, and I don't often just wear like t-shirts. So I don't know really where I was going with that. I really don't. So I've decided to pull this out of stash and create a Nami top. I found this pattern on Ravelry. It's a chevron style top, and I think it'll just look super amazing. It seems like a lot of people make the Nami top with like color changing yarn, or they alternate the stripes on their shirt to make it very visually stunning. I just want the texture in order to go with what is typically, for me at least, a very basic colorway. I typically don't go so far neutral, so I'm very intrigued to see like how this comes out, because this is more neutral than I typically ever go, and I understand it has all the pretty speckles, but this is what I'm wearing today, which is par for the course. So I'm intrigued to see how this goes. Anyways, the purpose of this video is to simply keep like a little journal of how I'm going week by week. I don't really do vlogs because I don't think of my life as being like super aesthetic and where people want to watch it, but I am really excited every weekend to keep track of how much progress I have made on these 3 pieces so that hopefully I can be wearing them end of March, beginning of April. I know they'll take a while simply because they are smaller gauge yarns and because they're bigger. They're tops. It's not like my last color video where I was able to knock out like 5 collars in a month. These will take me a little bit more time. So I'm excited to see how I do week by week. So with that, I guess I'll see you guys next week. It has been 1 week since I started my spring crochet tops, and I wanted to share some of the progress I've made with those. So the one that I dumped a lot of time into this week is my free-handed, lacy, little boxy short sleeve cardigan thing that I'm seeing in my brain. Had some inspiration for that, but I went from 1 inch last week is what I had completed to around 5 or so inches completed this week. Now, it is a lace pattern. It is a lace repeat. So when I say 5 inches, that's before it's been stretched out. I'm going to include a video, so hopefully you can see what I mean by that. But the lace really condenses itself until it's been blocked, and then it will remain a little more stretched out. So it's 5 inches pre-stretching, but I have seen a lot of progress with that one so far. Now, I have put a lot of time into that this week. I also had a lot of doubts, wiggling back and forth with like, should I be doing this? Is this how I want to be using this yarn? My heart really wants to use this yarn in this rose trellis pattern that I'm currently using, so I think I'm going to stick with it. But I did use a couple hours this week trying different like stitch patterns and seeing if there was any other way I wanted to use this yarn. And I love this yarn. I love the way it's currently presenting, so I think I'm going to stay on the track I am now. But with that being said, I have come to terms with the fact that this one is going to take a hot second. It does not work up quickly. It is a quick stitch pattern, stitch repeat if you're used to it, but because I am using a 2.75 millimeter hook and fingering weight yarn, it is by the nature of the thing not going to be extremely fast. So I think moving forward, I'm going to put this one on ice for just a second so that way I can start the Nami top. Now, if you forgot, I am going to make the Nami top with this lovely Poppy and Spruce Fibers hand-dyed yarn. Ew, that's my hair. Anyways, I'm going to use this. It is absolutely stunning. I'm very excited to see how the speckles come out with crochet. So I want to get started on this top right away. So I'm going to do that this week, potentially today, start winding these hanks up so that way I can get started on that, because I would love to next weekend show some progress on that top. So I might not make as much progress on the free-handed cardigan that I'm making, but I would just like to get this one started. If the free-handed cardigan takes a while, because it's lace, to me, that can be worn in the summer. Even though it is a merino wool, it can definitely be worn in the summer. It is just a wispy layer that's meant to be beautiful. It will have no warm properties to it. It does not need to be rushed for spring. I just would like to have it sometime within March. Would be very nice. But this would be awesome for spring because it is going to be a little less lacy, a little more of a solid fabric. And so it would be nice to have a merino wool short sleeve top for the springtime, because I can definitely wear something like this layered to my workplace with like a cardigan on top and like a tank top underneath. And that would be amazing. So I'm really looking forward to getting started with this sometime this week. Now, the last top that I am working on is less of a top and more of a cardigan. It is, I say that as if two of these three items are not cardigans, but okay. Anyways, it is MJ's Off the Hook Designs Summer V-Stitch Cardigan, I believe is the combination of words there, and I am making great progress with this. Last week, I want to say I had 5 rows done, and now I can't tell you, maybe 17, 18, but I am at the part in the raglan where it is coming down to connect the the piece of fabric down at the armpit, so that way I can start working in the round for the body. So I am close to that part where I'm separating for the body and the sleeves, probably like 2 or 3 rows off, which is awesome. This project at the beginning, I'm not going to lie to you, kind of felt a little boring. Some people like to say it's a meditative project in a positive way, and some people like to say it's a repetitive project in a negative way. I feel motivated to make this project, not because I love the process necessarily, but because I know I'm going to love the end result and find it super useful and super wearable all throughout spring and potentially the back end of summer. So it's one of those patterns where I don't love the process. I'm enjoying the process of the raglan because that's brand new for me. But beyond the increases, like in those 4 corners, there's nothing different about a V-stitch the entire cardigan. And so it is getting a little repetitive for me. However, I think I'm going to like the end result. So I'm sticking it out because I think it'll really showcase beautifully the different shades and variations in this tonal hand-dyed yarn. And I think it'll just look stunning. So anyways, I'm going to get back to my crochet projects so that way I can show you guys next week all the progress I've made. I don't assume I'll finish anything this week. February is always such a busy time for me. I feel like I have a couple hours here and a couple hours there, but I am excited to start the Nami top and hopefully get a significant part of the body done for the V-stitch cardigan. And then we'll see where I am for the lacy free-handed cardigan. So anyways, see you guys later. Okay, so the updates this weekend are not numerous, but there is definitely some progress and additions that I want to talk about. So the first one is the V-stitch cardigan. This morning, I was finally able to separate for the sleeves and the body. And I know last weekend I was like, it's getting a little repetitive, which is not a lie because V-stitch over and over again is like a little underwhelming in an overwhelming way, you know what I mean? Because there's so many of them. But anyways, because I was able to separate for the body and the sleeves, it eliminated a good chunk of crocheting that I need to do because I the spot that comes through your armpit, I was able to connect those at the armpit. And so I have far less to do when it comes to just doing the rows for the body around my torso. So I feel like I finally have some wind in my sails. I feel very excited to continue this pattern and I can kind of see the ending. Just working on the yoke over and over again, I'm like, this thing is never going to be big enough. I am a rather petite person. However, I crochet very tightly and I do not like things to be overly tight, especially when it comes to my armpits. So I found that for this V-stitch cardigan, in order to get the amount of space I prefer in my armpit area, I had to go up to a size large. And typically I'm more of like a small, medium kind of gal. I am intrigued to see how the wool blocks out because I think the wool will block out pretty significantly and make it far larger. However, I'm totally fine with an oversized fit, and I would rather the fit be oversized than too tight on my armpits because it makes me cringe just thinking about it and I know I won't wear it. So I do have quite a good amount in my armpits and it's coming out beautifully. I just have to repeat the rows over and over again on the body until I reach the length I want. I do want it to be more of a cropped fit, and then I get to move on to the sleeves, and I'm just so excited. I love the way this hand-dyed yarn is working up. Every time I look at it, I think of like grass when it has sunlight dappled on it coming through trees, and so the sunlight is hitting the grass differently and creating different shades of green. That's what I see every time I look at this cardigan, and it is just a dream come true. Like it's beautiful. I'm so excited to wear it. So I'm really hoping this week I can focus on this project in order to get the body where it needs to be and the sleeves where it needs to be by the end of the week. Might be ambitious, but we'll see where we go with it, especially because I'm going to save so much time now that I've separated. So, I'm just really excited. I'm really excited. The second project that I just spent a ton of time on this week was the Nami top. I finally got that one started, and I'm overwhelmed with how pretty it is. It is so simple. It is like a 2-row repeat, but it is coming out very, very stunning. I will say this yarn definitely needed some visual interest. I talked about sometime during one of these updates how this yarn is typically much more neutral than I typically go or lean towards or purchase, but I really just loved the coloring of the speckles. Now the speckles are super hard to see, so I'm probably going to include several videos so you can see like the stitch definition and the stitch pattern and the speckles and the coloring and how it all comes together. But the speckles are very, very faint and they're very quickly changing. So within a stitch, you could have no speckles, you could have 5 different speckles. It just really depends. So I'll include some videos that way you can see, but there's like this lovely mustard yellow, a burnt orange, like a rosy pink, heck, even some green sprinkled throughout. And while this will definitely be the most neutral thing I have in my closet beyond like black t-shirts that I typically wear under my crochet, I'm really excited for it. I think this will look stunning with several like linen button downs that I have for the spring and the summer. So I'm just hyped. I'm hyped to finish it. I love the interest in the 2-row repeat. I think it's really fun while also keeping it like something that's easy to do while doing something else like an audiobook or watching television or chatting with somebody, whatever you do, wherever you do your crocheting. But I really am enjoying this so far. This is the front panel. I have to make a front panel, a back panel, and then connect them and then do the sleeves. So I'm excited to see how quickly this works up. I know last night I watched a movie and I was able to do 7 rows and I was focused on and off on it. So I got to 17, maybe 18 rows from the original 10 or so rows I had before. So it does work up fairly quick. I will say this is a fingering weight pattern and I do have a DK yarn. I think at one point I said this yarn is fingering. It's not. It's definitely DK. So it is working up fairly quick. I did have to restart this project a couple times this week just to get the right width for the panel. You know what would have solved that? A gauge swatch. You know what I don't ever do? A gauge swatch. So that was kind of unfortunate on my end, but it will still not convince me to necessarily put time into a gauge swatch. So I would rather just do the first couple rows over and over again. A little impromptu, inaccurate gauge swatch, if you will. I like to be on like the 3rd attempt of a pattern when I'm actually making it. So I will continue to not do gauge swatches, but I could have prevented some of that time waste by gauge swatching. I'm trying to think if there's anything else I can include in this update, but I think the overall feeling is just excitement. I have not worked on my lacy cardigan since the previous update, and I probably won't this week because it feels like these two are my big priorities, simply because they are working up quickly. I have the momentum. I have the excitement, and so I'm just really hyped next weekend to hopefully be able to share a completed cardigan. Ambitious? Maybe. We'll see. Bye. Hello and welcome back. I have several updates that I am very excited to talk about in what I think will be the final installment of this video. The first one is this finished object. Anyways, let's back it up. So last weekend, like not yesterday last weekend, but beginning of March last weekend, I made some really great progress on this V-stitch summer cardigan. I finished one sleeve, and I'll include a video so that you can see where I was at. I finished one sleeve and was working on the other. By the end of the day, I had finished that other sleeve and was able to start weaving in ends and blocking it. But you can tell in this video, it is very stiff. There is not a lot of drape. It is very like, the sleeves are pointy in certain spots. They're just like sticking right up. And I know the realities of crochet. I know that crochet is typically pretty dense. I'm a tight crocheter as it is. And so I, on purpose, pick yarns that I know that I can block out really well. And this one did not disappoint. Let me include a video of how she looks today. I just took her off the blocking mats, and y'all, I'm so excited. I'm so excited. I thought I wanted more of a cropped look, but I'm really excited that she grew to basically like hip bone length. She has beautiful drape. She feels lovely. I love the length of the sleeves. They will be absolutely perfect for wearing with a tank top, a short sleeve, a long sleeve, just all together. Absolutely perfect for spring. Maybe not summer, because she is, you know, BFL, and BFL 100% gets a little bit cozy, but definitely for like summer evenings, I think will just be absolutely fabulous. So I am absolutely in love with her. She is my only finished object today. The other two are definitely works in progress, but I'm anticipating getting those done soon. Not soon enough where I want to add them to this video. You'll see them in upcoming videos. But anyways, the one that I've been working on as well pretty consistently is the Nami top. Last weekend, I had finished my first panel. When I say finished, I mean that I had essentially used up an entire skein and then saw where I left off and then kind of just started the second back panel, because I only have 4 skeins of this yarn and I kind of have to allocate it in a really smart way to make sure that I can make the top, right? Like I can't just go all willy-nilly using it all in the body and then realize that I've forgotten to add sleeves, because I would like to make cute little cap sleeves for this. So I finished one panel in the sense that one skein is completely worked up. I'm going to work on the back panel until one skein is worked up. And then that leaves me 2 of my original skeins. So I probably will split the third skein between the front and the back panel and then leave the entire last skein for sleeves, construction, edging, like any of that. So that way it just looks really finished. But I am really excited to keep working on that. That's a really like soothing project to work on. The stitch pattern is fabulous. It's like rhythmic but not boring, and guys, the speckles in this are truly insane. I know I've said like this maybe is not the most interesting color for me. I've definitely used louder yarns many times over, but I do like this yarn a lot, and I'm going to include a picture so you can hopefully see some of the speckles, because the speckles, the way they just work together, are really stunning. Again, this will definitely be a neutral in my closet, but I do have things that I can pair with it to like brighten it up, spice it up a bit. The third project that is a work in progress is a complete swerve. So I started this video saying that I wanted to use this Persephone yarn as like a lacy kind of summer cardigan type thing, but it was self-drafted, so I really had no plans except the vision that was in my brain. I came to the conclusion that it was going to take a while, and originally I was fine with that. I was like, I got time. I like crocheting. It's fine. It's not fine. I'm impatient, and I just kind of have a deadline coming up. I am moving this summer, and it is much easier to transport your yarn when it's in projects than it is in skeins. And so I'm at this point where I'm like, I just don't have the patience to be transporting works in progress if I don't get it done relatively soon. So I swerved. I'm like, what do I really need and what can I really wear? And I discovered that I am lacking in like really fun tank tops. I have black tank tops. I have white tank tops. I have green ones, but I don't have fun multicolored ones that I just would like to wear standalone during the summer and the spring. So I decided to completely swerve my plans and start on the RENO top. It is lovely. It is a very basic crochet tank top, but I think it'll actually get a lot of wear. So I've included a picture of what this looks like. I started this yesterday, and so I'm not too terribly far. And I will say, since I'm working off gauge, surprise, surprise, I am doing a lot of like measuring of my own body, measuring of the piece, ensuring it lines up, because if I were to follow the pattern exactly as it's written, being off gauge, it wouldn't work. So I've just been doing a lot of that. Had to rip out a couple rows this morning to get back to where I needed to be, but it's been a really soothing project as well, just because it is all double crochet. So that is super easy. Lovely construction. I love the way that it's just building out, and I'm really excited to see where that goes. So hopefully you see that soon in an upcoming video. Anyway, I thought I'd wrap up today's video by just giving some opinions and ideas about the patterns I've used. The one free pattern I did use was this one, MJ's Off the Hook Designs Summer V-Stitch Cardigan, something like that. It's free online on her blog, and honestly, guys, it was super easy to follow. I really enjoyed the raglan construction. That part felt like it took forever, but once you split for the sleeves and the body, it was easy going. I kind of stopped following the pattern once I hit the sleeves because I wanted to construct them in my way, but they look just like her picture, so they don't look any different. I would totally recommend the pattern, especially because it's free and it comes with a free YouTube video that you can watch alongside. I've referenced the video maybe once or twice because I was confused by some wording, but overall, easy pattern, easy video. I liked it. I know I'm not done quite yet with the Nami top, but so far I do recommend it. I got that one off Ravelry. That is a purchase pattern, and it is made to measure. So it should suit your body. As long as you can measure your body, it should all work out. I've been enjoying it so far. Obviously, I've not finished it or gotten to the point where I'm assembling all the pieces and the parts, but I love the stitch repeats. I love the way it's coming along, and I think I'll really enjoy the shirt. The same goes for the RENO top. I am obviously just starting that pattern, but so far it's really well written, and I'm really in love with like the shape it's creating, and I think it's highly customizable, especially because it was pretty easy for me to kind of figure out I was off gauge, where I needed to add rows in order to elongate the armhole shaping. Super easy. I already have some yarn that I have placed aside that I think I will be using to make another RENO top. So anyways, I think you guys should try them out. I think that's it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed seeing what I'm making. I would love to hear what your spring plans are for your crochet or even your knitting. Very inspiring since I can't knit very well. I hope you guys have a great rest of your week and happy crocheting!